So we worked from 2015 to 2018, really integrating evidence-based strategies, neuroscience, and CBT with strengths and wellness support model to kind of figure out, is there a better way to deliver these skills, this support in a way that can really provide transformation for students. We launched in Minnesota in K-12 schools in 2018 because of our awesome results and data and evidence. We received funding to bring it national last year. And we're now serving districts and students across the country. I'm a licensed school counselor. I've been a counselor educator at the grad level. I'm also a marriage and family therapist, but I'm a mother of 7 grown children. And this is something that I wish existed for them when they went through their adolescence and young adults. It's life is hard. And this learning to build resilience is really the differentiator between navigating post-secondary success with grace and not. And that's been proven time and time again from lots of different people, from Carol Duckworth to McKinsey. We know that there's an urgent need to address student motivation and mental health. It's greater than ever. The collective trauma from the past year, and I'm not just talking about the pandemic, it's the division, this whole, I don't know if you read the article yesterday on mask bullying, but either side right now, it's so inflamed as far as, where you stand on issues and the stress in homes, in families, communities, friendships about not just COVID, but how you're dealing with it, vaccine, mask, the political division in our country, probably that we haven't seen since Vietnam. And it's showing up in schools specifically. I know districts are looking for solutions that work, that are easy to implement and are data driven, because we know one thing, and that is if students are stressed and fear-filled, they cannot focus and learn. At the end of our day, our program is about learners. That is what we're here for. And we have the evidence to show that by investing in our program, that we can have a really strong and profound impact on outcomes. We know that, there's a lot being written about the learning gap. And I am so sorry for all of you educators. There is so much pressure on you to make it up. But here's the thing, when we're talking about equity and access, those students who were behind prior to COVID are the ones that fell further behind. And it is more important than ever to really have an accessible and equitable delivery of social emotional learning, not dependent on whether the teacher is going to stand in front of the class and do it or not. All students are going to need these skills to navigate their hard and so they can learn. We know that investing in social emotional learning at tier 1 and 2 can have a really profound impact on school safety and violence, suicide prevention, truancy prevention, graduation rates, and school climate and culture. We can work with your school to help you identify students based on those things you flag every day: attendance, grades, decreased, discipline referrals, as well as special ed referrals. We have a strong relationship with a lot of platforms out there, one being FastBridge. If you're using EduClimate or any other dashboard, universal screeners, we play nicely with all of them in helping you really provide the using your MTSS, helping you identify those students who need support, and then in measuring impact. We are a data-driven solution, and we want to understand how our program, which combines motivational coaching with online lessons, can really impact students' resilience without the need for additional hires. And I want to make this really clear. We've done a lot of research. We know your staff is burned out. They're back at school. Students need support. They're exhausted. It needs to be turnkey without a heavy lift on your staff. And we worked really hard to make this as high touch and low lift as we can. And we're doing it. And I'm excited to show you a little bit about that today. This is important. And this is kind of core to who we are as an organization. Social emotional learning can't just be taught. It needs to be learned and applied in a way that students can access in times of stress. We teach students in our course about fight, flight, or forget it. And we use Dan Siegel's flip your lid model. We teach them about their brain anatomy and that our prefrontal cortex is where our inner coach lives. And when you get stressed or in fear and you have a big emotional reaction, that's when you flip your lid and your prefrontal cortex checks out. So something you learned is really hard to apply. You need to have it integrated in a place where it's in your deep learning, in your subconscious, so that when you are in times of stress, when your thoughts are triggered, your emotions are triggered, your stress levels rise, that you can take what you've learned and apply it. Or what's the point? And we do that. We have a real commitment to taking the concepts that students learn every day and not just having it be up here in their head, but making that connection from their head to their heart in a way that students are able to access and learn. That is a key differentiator of our program. That's why we get the outcomes that we do. If you're going to invest time and money into a program, it needs to be a program that does this well. And we do that. This is a quote on the side here from a female student, copied just 2 weeks ago from her feedback, which really just says, it helped me manage my mental health and motivation. I learned new strategies in a way I could understand, and my coach was so helpful in helping me apply them to my life. Apply. Such a good class for people feeling stressed and unmotivated in school, or even just struggling in life. It was my favorite class ever because I actually made change. I just wish I had taken it earlier. We hear that often. I wish I had taken this earlier, because it's all about them. It's focused, but we do a really good job of engaging them as an active participant in their well-being. What I saw was when I was working as a school counselor, and really what fueled my desire to create a new way to approach social emotional learning and mental health support, was that so many schools are using 504 plans and accommodations for their tier 2 mental health, for their tier 2 supports when it comes to social emotional learning. And fixing and accommodating about a bunch of adults in a room saying, here's this, we believe as an organization that often what students hear is, see, they don't think I can do it either. And what we try to do is flip this around and say, you can do it. You just need the skills, and no one's teaching you those. And guess what? We are. And we deliver that through daily engaging content, which again, engages them as an active participant in their well-being. They are in charge. They are empowered through videos, through activities, through online, through our portal that are short, engaging, focused on them. They're egocentric beings, so they love that. So that's fundamental pillar one that needs to be in a successful program. Our program looks a lot like NUM does for mental health, with these four core functionalities, because this is what it takes to create change. So daily skill building content over a period of time long enough so that it goes from here to here. If it's going to be integrated, if it's something that they can apply later when they're in a flip your lid, that they can access that skill, it needs to be long enough so that they can actually really integrate it and learn it. So our program, our intervention is 12 to 16 weeks. We can do as short as 8 or 9 weeks. It's self-paced depending on your school's calendar, but it needs to be daily over a period of time. Key is it's supported by a real person on our end. So this personalized support provides that psychological safety. We have EmpowerU coaches on our team that their only job is to show up each and every day to make each student feel seen, heard, valued, and respected in this journey of change. We work with you. We're not trying to replace you. We're trying to do that part of your job that you don't have time to do, because who has time for daily content and daily support to this really personalized level? It's a real person who has a cohort of students, and they customize their feedback that's delivered through our portal. If you think about taking that 15-minute every other week therapy session or check-in with your on-site therapist, we break that down at tier 2 into 5 to 6 minutes of support, asynchronous through our portal using texting and email, to really help that student take what they've learned and apply it to their life, highly customized, highly personalized to their goals, more importantly, their challenges. That's what makes the difference. Without this, we'd stay up here. We would just be a learn. Students would just regurgitate. This isn't just support, but it's support delivered to a methodology that connects it to the content and also has with accountability, because as you know, support without accountability doesn't create change. So in the kindest, most empathetic way, we hold students accountable to break down what they've learned to the next small step and the next small step. We actually teach them how to make change and the importance of small steps. Where students fail is these discouraged students try to make change too quickly. When it doesn't go well, they give up. We help them get moving, and momentum breeds momentum. And that's why we get the data we do. The last pillar is accessible and equitable. And we worked really hard to make sure that regardless of of gender, race, economic lens, that any student who participates in this program can see themselves and feel seen, heard, valued, and respected. We work with an equity firm that scrubs our content and our coaching methodology to make sure that happens. At the high school tier 2 level, this course is, like I said, it's robust and it's aligned with national health and wellness standards. Most schools award discretionary elective credit because it's robust. It meets that seat time and is aligned with common core outcomes so that it can be an elective credit. But more than that, it's aligned with CASEL standards. And also with most states, depending on the state you're in, with most states, social emotional learning standards. These topics, these core competencies are going to look familiar if you're in this world. Self-identity and self-awareness, just really helping students ground in their strengths and who they are as a person, and most importantly, where they want to make change. We teach them in that first part of the course too about their internal locus of control. At our elementary and middle school version, we have a character named Charge. And Charge really is their internal locus of control. At the high school level, it's more nuanced. We actually teach them that what an internal locus of control is, the ability that despite their unfair and often difficult circumstances, that the one thing they can do is take charge of their thoughts and emotions and their next step, and that can make all the difference in the world. And the rest of our course really gives them the skills and the strategies to do just that. The second unit is about motivation and habits, and that's where we teach students to make change. Most students want to make change, they just don't know how, so we teach them with habit change strategies, and we teach them through proprietary assessments where they learn about themselves. And at the end of that unit, they walk away with strategies that we will keep coming back to in our coaching throughout the course that are best suited to them, that they've picked to help them apply what they've learned here and make change to their goals and challenges. The third concept is their inner coach. This is our neuroplasticity, CBT, brain science, where we teach them that we are wired for our inner critic and negative thoughts, but we can change our thoughts by recruiting and building our muscle of our inner coach. And students practice and build that throughout. And at the end of that unit, they write a letter to themselves from their inner coach that's highly therapeutic. In our post-course surveys, 2 years in the making, 92% of students are still using their inner coach language on a daily basis. This is a lasting skill that we make sure all students leave equipped to take with them. The fourth is emotional regulation, which is just that ability to identify, know that emotions are signals to them. Notice early how they're showing up in their body, their words, and their actions, giving them strategies to disrupt negative cycles and to lower their overall stress. And most importantly, to identify those big stressors or emotions that they kind of shove away in parking lot, and let them know by doing that, it gives them more power, and that the real power is in learning to identify them. And we teach them how to process them so they can manage them in healthy ways. The fifth concept is community, which is really about who's on your team at home and your friend group and at school. We teach them the importance of those social connections to relieve stress. We're social beings. We teach them the importance of empathy and perspective taking, and most importantly, how to ask for and receive help. That is a core takeaway of our program. And we measure impacts of students being able to do that at certain times throughout the course. Their assignment is to take what they learned and share it with someone on their team and come back and say how that's going, so that they're actually practicing that throughout the course. Our secret sauce, our superpower, is our coaching team. We have 40 highly trained school psychologists, school counselors, and school social workers on our staff who either do it part-time or full-time, that their job again is to provide this daily support to students. I'll talk about how we loop you in on that support. You're not blind to it, but again, it's like in a school, instead of having your music teacher provide SEL, we're having these trained specialists who are not trained in our content, but also in our methodology that really combines the content and helps with coaching that student take that next step. They're all master degree, they're all heart forward, we're handpicked and highly, highly trained. I'm not sure if you're using a universal screener, but if you are, we can work with them to help identify students who would be a good fit for EmpowerU. We do have tier 1, but I'd say that at a lot of high schools where there's a real gap is at tier 2. Like I said, a lot of schools are using 504 plans and other accommodations, but we really can work with you. We have a relationship with FastBridge and their Sabers and My Sabers. If you're using that, or if you want to find out more about that, we're a partner of theirs, but we can also work with any with any panorama, well check, or whatever you're using, or even if you're just using your database and your MTSS attendance grades, we'll work with you and train your staff. The biggest thing you need to do is know how to identify students for this. When you identify them, you enroll them in this, and we can provide that data pre to post, because what we know is that if you're using MTSS, if you have a child, a problem solving team or student support team, whatever you call it, the real goal here is to intervene early, to identify these students who have internalized or externalized social emotional barriers or mental health barriers, identify them, get them the support they need to teach them the skills. We can't make anxiety, depression, their trauma, or ADHD go away, but we certainly can teach them how to navigate and cope with it. And we provide you the data post-course that gives you the information you need to return that student to tier 1, knowing that they are equipped with what they need. I will tell you that we've been doing this for 3 years, and 94% of students who complete our course are able to stay at tier 1 without the need for higher escalations and more costly interventions. That's the goal. So at the beginning of our course, they take our assessment, which really is their starting point of where are they in these 4 domains: personal, emotional, social, and academic. With the help of their coach, they set a goal in each one of those areas. Again, the goal is for this coaching at the end of each lesson is to help them take what they've learned and apply it with support to their goal and challenge. At the end of the course, they take that same assessment again to measure their growth. We use Prochaska and DiClemente's TTM, their trans-theoretical model, which measures the phases of change. Most students start here in each of their 4 goals. They're thinking about making change. They just don't know how to do it. Again, throughout the intervention, the course, with the support, they take that same assessment on the end, and on average, students are going up 1.8 stages of change in all 4 goal areas pre to post course. How does that compare? A successful intervention, social emotional learning using this model is 1 stage of change in 1 goal area. Because of this data, that's how we receive this funding. It is evidence-based. We have this data. We share this data with you for each student, pre to post, as well as overall for school, so you can measure overall impact. And like I said, the real benefit to you is if you're using it as a documented social emotional pre-referral intervention, which you're supposed to be 2 before you go to higher escalation, we provide you that data. We also provide you the data, again, like I said, 4.5% make enough goal progress. If they're at tier 2, they return to tier 1, or if they're in tier 1, they stay at tier 1. 88% of students who are referred to the program complete the whole entire thing. 93% of students, we have confidence in mental health indicators pre to post, make growth in 1 or both. And I think the thing we're most proud of is that 98.5% of students would recommend the course to a friend, the program to a friend. And these are discouraged students who are often not engaging, especially last year during COVID. We were able to really get them to focus on their well-being. And like I said, this had profound impact. I have quote after quote after quote from students who said, I was able to then, do my work and do better in school. We actually cross-pollinate our results with grades and attendance and measure our impact, and we have a positive impact on both. We can work with you to do that. Last year was a little hard with COVID because grades and attendance didn't mean as much, but we've been around since 2018 and we've been tracking this since then. And would love to show you the impact our program, we know our program works. So we're really excited to dig into the data with you and show you the impact our program can have. We do have a life cycle, K through 12. You guys are high school focused, so I'm going to just take a few minutes to talk about what our program looks like at the high school level. We have 2 ways you can start with us. One is our tier 1 program that's really meant to be embedded into advisory time, or we have lots and lots of schools who are using it as part of their health or their PE curriculum, actually. There's a lot of research saying that health and PE, it needs to be more mental health focused, 30%, and there's not the lessons to do that. We've repurposed our curriculum so it can really embed quickly into advisory time or into a health or PE class. It takes about 20 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week for students to take that time, work on a lesson. It opens up with mindfulness. It can be teacher-led for that part of it. If it's important to your school to be like, well, we want our advisory teachers, our PE teachers to be part of it. That opening check-in where students all learn a calming technique and we'll go over the learning targets for that lesson, that can be led. But then they go onto their one-to-one device and finish it on their own so they can feel safe and secure to really dig into the content and apply it to themselves. takes about 20 minutes to 30 minutes, soup to nuts. When they're done at tier 1, each week they get support. These are students in a more prevention mode, so they don't need daily support, and it's built into their day in a classroom, so they get weekly support. This makes it more affordable about the cost of a textbook, so that you can, really embed it. And we provide you, again, with access to the online curriculum, with training for your classroom teachers and staff, with the lessons and curriculum for students, with that support from our trained coaches, and then the data on each student pre to post. I'll talk a little bit about the dashboard and how you guys can see in real live time how students are progressing and what they're learning. Tier 2, again, is our sweet spot for your districts that are really saying, we're good at tier 1. We have that covered, but we need something at tier 2. We need to really support these students early, identify them and support them as part of our student support team, and get them the skills they need at that level. So it works kind of the same. It's 20 minutes per day to 30 minutes where schools are fitting this in is in a study hall, a guided study, a lot of target time, remote e-learning, however it works with your school. It works best when it's part of their day. We have so schools buy, let's say for a school, I'd say of 2,000, a high school of 2,000 students, typically they buy 40 to 50 intervention seats. They dole them out on a rolling basis. They don't have to align to your semester or try. The goal is for that student that's really struggling. And when I was a school counselor, it always got to that point where you'd be like, okay, there's no way you're going to make it in math for this semester. Let's drop that. Let's put you in a study hall so you can catch up on your other work, or put you in target time. And yet they'd go to that target time and they would put their head down and not do anything. Well, you put them in EmpowerU, and that's when they work on re-engaging so they can do well in their other classes. We want to meet them at the moment when that happens. So we have rolling admissions, and we can work with you to make that work at any time when you want to switch and enroll a student in EmpowerU. Like I said, it doesn't need to align with your semester or trimester or quarter calendar. They have that focused time to complete a lesson each day. They get that daily support. Like I said, so with tier 2, it's daily support, 5 to 6 minutes, 6 hours total over the program, where they're, again, getting that support and accountability to make progress. We have, at the end of this, we have, much like students who go to other programs out of your school and they come back and you might align discretionary credit, we give you everything you need to for those essential learnings and the outcomes and the hours, so that you can award discretionary elective credit for the work, because it is work. It's not hard, but it's hard work to get in here every day over 14 weeks and really make change. It's probably the most important course students are going to take, and a lot of our students say it's better than any psychology course they've ever taken. It is a course. But it's a course really personalized to them. And again, we provide you that pre to post data through our live dashboard and through our full data growth report at the end. How is this turnkey? How is this a low lift? We have a toolbox that each one of your schools will get their own unique toolbox that says how many seats you've purchased, who your contact is at your school. It goes to how to talk to students about it. It has a video you can show students. It has a template if you want to notify parents or guardians. It depends on your privacy policies, how you do that, and a short intake form. Once that intake form is completed, you are enrolled in our dashboard. There's a live dashboard on our site where it shows you all of the students you have enrolled in EmpowerU. It shows you what course they're in, the progress they're making, their lessons completed last week, this week overall, what their due date is. It gives you everything you need to know. But most importantly here, it has the comments from the coach, and the school can respond right in the portal. Our coaches take the time every Friday to go through every student and provide, you can see the progress at any time, but once a week, they take the time to really share what the students learning in the course, the insights, the skills, the quotes. And one of the benefits of this course that we didn't intend, but it's one of those things that's become really important to our partner schools, is that the school counselors, the social workers, the case managers use this information to connect with students in a more meaningful way. Instead of just doing a check and connect and what missing assignments and how can you help, you say, oh, wow, it looks like EmpowerU is really helping you. I saw last week that you were working on your inner coach and that helped you do this. How can it help you here? We loop you in. so that you really understand what and you can respond back. So we encourage the school to respond back. Sometimes we'll ask questions in there. They can do it right here in the portal, so they're not getting a million emails. They check it once a week. We give you a reminder every Monday. You can check it anytime. If you have other students to enroll, you just click here. And again, you're just brought to that, after your first time, you're just brought to that form to enroll another student. We do have an Educator resilience and self-care program that you can use too in your schools with your helpers. There's a 20-hour version and a 4-hour version that teaches you all the skills and strategies that students learn so that you can understand what they're learning. It also has a real self-care lens. Everyone's tired, burnt out, and we know that you need support too. So when you're learning these concepts, I think as helpers, we're always like, well, how can I use this for my staff? Or how can I use this with students? The lens of this is, well, how can you use this for you? You know, how can you put the oxygen mask on yourself and learn these skills in a way that will help you model good self-care and mental health. So that's kind of the end of my, I tried to keep it to a half hour. We're at 10:30.
You kept it just exactly to 29 minutes, Katie.
Perfect. So we're gonna follow up with a copy of this recording if you want to share it with your staff members, a copy of this PowerPoint. We can get you a course sampler if you'd like to dig into the product, and you can schedule follow-up with your salespeople. Your salesperson will be following up. We have some starter packages that are really easy at tier 1 and tier 2, especially at tier 2. You can start with a minimum of 20 intervention seats. It comes with free training, kind of a 15-minute Zoom, a 10-minute orientation that's online, and it can get you up and going at a discounted price. If you're interested in getting a starter package quote, we can get that to you right away, just let the salesperson know. There's lots of money for this stuff right now. We know you're busy. We're trying to make it as easy as we can for you to meet the needs of students because we know that they're great. So we look forward to following up with you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just see if there's any questions or any other thoughts specifically right now. Thanks so much for your time. We'll be following up and we hope to be working with your district. Thanks, everyone.